Welcome everyone, I'm Rachel Roy. I'm the Executive Director of the Greater Sitka Chamber of Commerce, and we are here for the kickoff of our Winter Speaker Series. This is our virtual version of what we used to have with our weekly luncheons. We're definitely missing everyone in person, gathering at the Westmark, but for now we are here, and I just have a couple updates. So we just came back from our Christmas. It seems like now it's almost been a month, but we had an awesome Share Your Spark program. The amount of people that participated was just record-breaking. Over 64 homes and businesses were represented with decorations and lights. We had drawings to give away prizes from sponsors, and it was just an all-around really great way for us to kind of celebrate the holiday season and kind of put a little sparkle into our community. Just so I give everyone plenty of notice, we are planning to do a Share Your Spark again for the 4th of July, and that was our alternate for the parade. We do not know what's happening with the parade, and we'll let you know as time goes on. But go ahead and start planning creative ways to get that red, white, and blue out around our community. We have signs that we will be distributing to those who want to participate, and there will be prizes and fun things. If you are a business and want to offer a prize for that, give us a call. You can call Nikki at our office. She did an amazing job. Thank you, Nikki, for all of your hard work with Share Your Spark, getting the photos of homes out and getting the messages and the Shop Sitka local message out there. It was really, really fun to see. We have just sent out our membership invoices, and those are coming in the mail to you. We do have electronic versions of those that will be coming out, and we just want to thank everyone for the support. I'm still doing a little bit of number crunching, but our membership revenue and support increased in 2020, and that is just that speaks to the support that our community has, and really looking at continuing that and helping us to continue programs like this and others that the Chamber is doing. So thank you very much, membership, for that. We do have our board elections in process, and you can go if you're interested in being on the board. We have a nomination form. You can nominate yourself. You just have to be an active member and pay that invoice, I suppose, when you get it. We will have some seats available for you if you're interested in being a part of the Chamber and helping to grow our economy and support business in our community. The Shop Local, our Silver Savers are still active. I've been using mine all winter, so be sure to check those out, and those are good until April. We'll be sending out information on how you can be a part of the Silver Saver program pretty soon. It will start our sales beginning March 1. And I am excited that we just sent off our visitor guide to the printers. So the 2021-22 visitor guide that really gets the stories of Sitka, the visuals of Sitka out to the community, out to the people that want to visit, and really for the independent travelers that are coming up and spending some time here. That guide will be distributed in late February, and I just think it's just going to be beautiful, and it's just another piece of that story that we're telling about our community. For the presentation, we have the Q&A open and available. We'll also monitor the questions in the Facebook. If you are live with us, you can ask a question for John as we go forward. So let me introduce John Leach. If you haven't seen him or met him yet, you definitely need to. I think we are so lucky to have John at the helm of our city administration. So John, it has been serving as the municipal administrator for the city and borough of Sitka since March of 2020. What a time to join our community and this position. Prior to his current position, John retired as the commander for the Coast Guard in February of 2020, where he was most recently served as Senior Aeronautical Engineering Systems Manager at the Coast Guard headquarters in Washington, D.C. John has a family here, and I am thankful to his wife, Andrea, and 2 sons for making Sitka home, and I'm really looking forward to this update. And again, those questions, you can put them in the Q&A, but thank you for joining us today, John. Go ahead.
Thank you, Rachel, for the wonderful introduction, and I'll apologize up front for the clunkiness. I think we all wish we weren't on Zoom right now, but I think this is the world for a little while. And I tried to get the presentation in the best format as I could, so some of the text might be hard to read. And since I've got these 2 screens up, as I start going through the presentation, I'll probably turn my camera off so I can look back and forth to the presentation. So as Rachel said, I am the municipal administrator for the city and borough of Sitka, and I think I've only been able to speak to the chamber once so far, and that was to give an update from the EOC, and I believe that was maybe sometime around October. Is that correct, Rachel? And I guess you don't have to jump in if you don't want to.
That sounds right, yeah.
Does that sound about right? Okay, well I'll share my screen now, and we'll try to pick through this presentation. I've got a lot of information, so I might be moving quickly, but we'll have some time at the end for some questions. So, see if I can get this going. So I should have the screen up.
Yep, it looks good.
I'm still having some challenges with my side though, so I apologize. I guess my camera will stay up. So this is my first report as a municipal administrator to the chamber, and we're going to try this annual report to the community. I know this is something that we tried to do a few years ago, and I'm not really sure it picked up steam, but we'll try this here. And the goal of this report is to increase transparency, explain some of the departmental duties within the city, and provide some contact information for people to reach out. I'm not going to put emails or phone numbers on here or anything, but I can at least give you the names of people who can help you. So what I'd like to do is highlight some of the departments, their achievements, and some of the projects we're working on. And at the end of this presentation, I plan on getting this out on social media and up on our website if anybody wants to look at it. So we'll start out here with something that's from our comprehensive report, is our mission and our vision and our core values, and I will read this to you. That City and Borough of Sitka, we respect and support the changing needs of our customers, their elected representatives, and our employees. We value their abilities and contributions to making Sitka the standard in every respect by which all other cities are measured. Our actions will reflect our total commitment to ethics, integrity, pride, hard work, and leadership by example. Therefore, our mission is to continue building partnerships with our customers, elected officials, employees, and others to transform our vision into reality. We will provide leadership focused on developing the highest quality, competitively priced, and efficiently delivered services to our customers. With this mission and vision and core values, all of our departments have incorporated these values into their own strategic plans. And as I go through some departments, you'll see some of their, or you'll hear about some of their goals and their own individual strategic plans. But before I get into the departments, I want to talk about the mayor and the assembly members. As you all remember, we just had an election in October. So up on your screen now should be the new, I shouldn't say the new mayor, but not new to the assembly, is Stephen Eisenbeis. And recently elected, we had Crystal Duncan and Rebecca Himshoe. Our next regular municipal election is scheduled for October 5th of this year. And in this election, we'll have 2 assembly seats and 2 school board seats that will be open. Anytime we want to introduce a ballot measure, that needs to come to the assembly. So just as a reminder, July 27th of this year will be the last assembly meeting to get something scheduled for the October ballot. The job of an assembly member can be very difficult, as you can probably imagine. They have to make some tough and sometimes unpopular decisions, but they are doing their best to represent the desires of their constituents. Assembly meetings are the second and fourth Tuesday of every month. The agendas are posted online. I think we get them out throughout the media, and the meetings are broadcast live over KCAW and local television channel 11. We also stream it on many social media sites. And if you go to the cityofsitka.com website, you can typically find the links there on many of the sources that we will stream that meeting. So moving into the departments, we'll start with our Human Resources Department. So right now, a little bit of math here, we have a total of 157 full-time employees. I know the numbers might look a little different on your screen here, but the breakdown is generally 138.87 regular employees. We had 27 CARES Act transitional employees this year, and then we have 27 regular temporary employees. So the numbers, like I said, don't match up completely because some of the temporary employees are in and out, and some of the programs have come to an end. But speaking of the CARES Act Transitional Employment Program, that was designed to help employ individuals who are either unemployed, underemployed, or furloughed due to COVID-19. And those positions were wonderful. They helped with a slew of preventative maintenance, improvements, and repairs on designated city structures, including buildings, grounds, recreation, athletic fields, special project, road maintenance, or admin work, such as filing, general office work, and or related work is assigned. So that was really beneficial to the city, and hopefully it helped those personnel out who were unable to find jobs due to COVID. Approximately 500 to 800 people applied for positions with the city in 2020, and our police officers and dispatch are continually looking year-round for open recruitment. Our department, the HR department, works with 4 bargaining units to negotiate contracts of employment terms over a 3-year period, and we've got one of those coming up for renewal this year, or I should say renegotiation this year. We have ongoing work towards recruitment efforts and succession planning. So since the beginning of 2020, almost half of our department head positions were filled either by internal promotions or external, and I want to list some of those off. So as far as our internal promotions, we had Amy Inslee, who was promoted to planning director. Melissa Haley was promoted to our finance director. Craig Warren is the new fire chief, and Tony Rosas is the new Harrigan Centennial Hall manager. The new hires, as Rachel already mentioned, I was one of them, came in March of last year. Larry Reeder came in as our assessor. Scott Elder came in as the utility director. Jess Yaramita is the library director, and Michelle Murdoch is our newest HR director. I think most of you know, but HR administers and processes all the work-related injury claims. They manage our return to work programs under OSHA. They establish training and development for employees. They handle and oversee all of our employee relations. They maintain and enforce compliance with the EEOC and reporting, and they review and update policies to align with state and federal laws. So again, the big success in our HR department is managing those CARES Act employees, which were extremely beneficial to the city, and I hope as helpful to them as it was to us. Moving on to the admin and clerk's office. You can see everybody's pictures here. John and Renee, or myself and Renee, typically are admin, where Sarah Peterson and Melissa are the clerk and deputy clerk. The primary job of admin is to provide support to the Sitka City Assembly. We oversee all records requests and local elections. Over the last year, 45 assembly meetings were arranged, and over 110 individual records requests were completed in 2020. Melissa Henshaw oversees all municipal boards, commissions, and committees, and later in the presentation I'll get to the list of those boards, commissions, and committees, and you can see just a number of them that are managed. Moving on to our Ports and Harbors Department. They operate 5 boat harbors, including Crescent, Sealing Cove, A&B, Thompson, and Eliason Harbor. They provide management of Baranoff Warm Springs, moorage facilities, and vessel use of the Gary Paxton Industrial Park dock. And the department ensures infrastructure is maintained so it can accommodate commercial, fishing, charter, and recreational vessels. The Crescent Harbor Phase 1 replacement program was completed, and $5 million of that was funded by the State of Alaska Municipal Harbor Matching Grant Program. Stan Eliason, as you all know, is the director of the Harbor Department now. Moving on to planning. Planning continues to support and administer 6 main functions within the city. Those are zoning, platting, subdivision regulations, municipal land management, long-range planning, historic preservation, and community and economic development. There were several long vacancies within that department from 2018 to 2020, but now the planning department is fully staffed. They've completed the No Name Mountain Granite Creek Master Plan. They've crafted code to enable the construction and placement of tiny homes in Sitka, performed a comprehensive short-term rental analysis, facilitated the adoption of the new city seal, which you'll probably see throughout this presentation. They reestablished liaison role with Baranoff Warm Springs and have progressed several competitive municipal land sales and leases. They've supported the application and approval of 2 zoning map amendments, 16 conditional use permits, including 2 new accessory dwelling units and 2 new marijuana cultivation manufacturing facilities, 10 subdivisions and platting actions, and 8 variances. Their goals for 2021 is to provide better data access and transparency, digitizing more historic planning files and minutes, and leveraging our IT systems to make them easier for the public to access. They want to complete a comprehensive plan review, which pertains to a review of a plan and prioritization of 2021 objectives from the Planning Commission and the Assembly, and clarifying and streamlining the historic preservation review process. And as I mentioned earlier, Amy Ainsley is the director of the Planning Department. Moving on to assessing. Sorry, something's happening on my phone. Moving on to assessing. Everybody loves the tax man, and that's Larry Reeder at the moment. He's one of the newer hires here. Within assessing, their primary mission is to maintain the borough's real and personal property tax base at full market value with equities between like properties. This past year, over 400 properties were reevaluated within Sitka. The department generally completes valuations for over 4,200 real property accounts and 657 personal property business accounts annually. They administer property tax exemptions for seniors and disabled veterans here as well under that state program. And as I said, Larry Reeder is your assessor. Harrigan Hall, in my opinion, one of the most beautiful buildings here. A $16 million renewal was completed in 2016, and it was an expansion project. That remodel expansion changed Harrigan Hall from a 24,000 square foot facility to a 32,000 square foot facility with a 4,100 square foot auditorium. The building is staffed by 5 full-time employees and 2 seasonal visitor service staff during the visitor and convention season. Harrigan Hall serves as a city government and community meeting venue as well as a visitor center and hub during the summer months. They provide about 4,000 square feet of space to the Sitka Historical Society to house the Sitka History Museum. Peak usage has had approximately 1,700 meetings or events in a given year, so obviously very busy. Operating hours are 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Saturday, but sometimes longer during scheduled events. And Tony Rosas was is the new director over there who was promoted into that position. In our Public Works Department, Public Works prepares, manages, and oversees the city's capital improvement program. It is the largest department within the city. The team members there are busy making sure that the roads and your sidewalks are safe, trees and parks are well maintained, managing multiple construction projects, and keeping city infrastructure up to date and prepared for the future. During this last year's annual spring cleanup, an average of 800,000 pounds of mixed waste and scrap metal were disposed of with no charge to the citizens. Maintenance and operations is focusing on park and playground improvements, has recently purchased an asphalt recycler to improve road patching and a striper to save money painting lines without mobilizing a contractor from out of town. And I wish I could see your faces right now because I'll make a joke about the striping incident we had on Indian River Road. It had to be repaired, but there was a learning curve there. The wastewater division is completing a remodel to the treatment plant to remove rotted siding, failed ventilation, poor lighting, electrical, and mechanical systems. This improvement will protect the treatment plant from catastrophic corrosion caused by wastewater gases and just generally improve the overall health conditions for the staff working within that building. Some major projects going on in Public Works now include our critical secondary water filtration plant, Crescent Harbor, which is nearing its end, multiple sewer lift stations, seaplane bays, an airport remodel. Some of the CARES Act projects are wrapping up. And right now, the engineering division is actively working on over $86 million worth of capital projects. And Michael Harmon is your director of the Public Works Department. Moving on to finance. Finance develops and monitors and implements fiscal policies and procedures and internal controls to ensure a financially strong and effective city government. The finance department supports the financial management of the general fund and the 24 related governmental funds, as well as the city's 8 enterprise funds. City's financial reporting and internal controls are audited annually by external auditors, and that report is provided, the auditors work and report to the assembly. The reports are available online, and also the CAFR, the comprehensive annual financial report, is also available online if anybody would like to review that. In providing transparency, this hasn't kicked off yet, but one of the things that I'm working on with finance and our IT department is we've brought on board a program called Open Finance, where people will be able to go to the website, open up, and drill down to any level they want to within city government and see real-time spending, real-time budget, and where we are at any given moment of our spending. And another program we're putting in is called Balancing Act, where citizens can go and basically interact with the budget, and if they had ideas on ways they would like to run the budget for a day, they can build their own budget, see if they can get it to balance, and then they will hopefully have the function to be able to email that back to us with their ideas. One of the most critical roles that the finance department plays is fiscal forecasting. They're looking forward to make sure that the municipality has the funding necessary for future capital improvements. The complexity and breadth of Sitka's operations is such that it's difficult to find systems to manage all areas of operations. So our staff is very busy managing multiple billing systems for sales tax, property tax, mortgage, utilities, etc. So Melissa Haley is the director there, has her hands full. In the electric department, this past year, demand was steady over the summer, with loads obviously rising as the cooler weather is setting in. The department installed 38 new meters over the year and replaced 150 meters. The total electric meter count in Sitka right now is 5,539. A recent debt restructure on some of our longer-term debt has decreased the overall debt to the city and added to the capital program to the tune of about $5.3 million due to the low rates that were available. Green Lake Phase 1 project has been awarded, and right now they're working on the drawdown of the lake to begin the work this summer. In the calendar year 2020 to date, total generation is slightly higher than what it was in 2019. In calendar year 2019, hydroelectric energy provided 99.7% of our annual energy, and diesel generation was only 0.3%. Right now, our crews are wrapping up work on the Marine Street substation, and as I said, they'll be focusing on Green Lake Phase 1, the necessary repairs there. And Scott Elder is your director of the electric department. In the library, this past year, annual visitors to the library were 106,086. That's enough to fill CenturyLink Field for a Seahawks game up to 1.5 times. The library has 71,928 items in the collection, and staff answered or researched almost 4,800 reference questions. Visitors accessed 24,338 computer sessions, 1,378 reservations were made for our public meeting spaces, 351 programs were held for children, teen, and adult programs ranging from story time to summer reading and group classes and presentations for adults. Very, very busy over in the library. And Jess Jeremiah is running things very well over there. Very happy with her as the director. The police department. The department is broken into 4 internal departments: administration, control, jail, and services. The dispatch center this past year has answered 23,000 phone calls. Of that, 2,400 were 911 calls, which generated 17,000 calls for service in 2020. They cleaned up and disposed of 150 abandoned vehicles on city property. They installed both a new computer-aided dispatch system and records management system, bringing the police department software into the 21st century. I know one of the favorite things in the community is to read the police blotter, and some of the details have gone away in this past year, and it's not because we weren't providing those details anymore. That new software system has some, we have some learning to do there and how to get more details out to the police blotter. We've installed new radio consoles with new E911 phone interface at both the police department and the fire department. And for the first time in 14 years, staffing has been brought up to full strength. Training is continuously happening to keep updated on current issues. And Chief Robert Beatty is doing a wonderful job over in the police department. In the fire department, 4 divisions: fire, emergency medical, search and rescue, and dive. Every year they have a combined 1,300 to 1,400 calls. We have a new fire engine that just joined the fleet. So if you look on the government auctions, you might see one of our older fire trucks up for sale right now. There are 9 full-time staff and approximately 100 volunteers over all 4 of the divisions. And Craig Warren is your fire chief, and right now also operating as our emergency operations manager in the emergency operations center. So very, very busy with COVID response right now. In the information technology department, their goal is to deliver the best technology solution to the city and borough of Sitka. This last year, they logged over 3 million hits to the CDS website. We've done a full workforce transition, almost full conversion to Windows 10, optimized configurations in the data center with user workstations, staff, and public meeting spaces to allow for best practices with remote work and social distancing, which proved to be very beneficial these past 10 months. And as I mentioned, in the police department, we've implemented a new police computer record system, and Grant Turner is your director in the information technology department. So, moving on to the fun stuff, to talk budget, I'll talk very high level here, and I just wanted to share some graphs. This first chart shows the projected general fund revenues for 2021. And something I want to point out is that you'll see sales tax is our highest source of revenue, followed by property tax. Property tax is at about 6.9 million right now. As I move on to this next chart, which is going to show our appropriations, you'll see that our biggest appropriation is for the school. And that looks like it's going to be about 7.5 to 7.6 million, closely followed by public safety. So switching again back to that first chart, where in the past, property tax has usually picked up all of the education funding, we can see now that we're becoming more and more dependent on sales tax to cover our funding for our schools and some of our other needs in the city. Now, while these charts show revenue and appropriations for the city, and I apologize for this one being so hard to read, I was trying to get the graphs here, not more so than the numbers, but while these charts show revenue and appropriations for the general fund, CDS also runs electric, water, wastewater, solid waste utilities, as well as other enterprise and special revenue funds. Our total operating budget, which is including transfers between funds, was approximately $99 million for 2021. in fiscal year 20, the total actual government-wide operating expenses were $65 million. So as I said, general fund revenue becomes more dependent on sales tax each year as both federal and state funding decreases and our property tax is staying relatively level. Also of note, our actual expenses from fiscal year 2017 to 2020 have risen an average of 1.3% per year, which is less than the average 1.8% per year of actual inflation for the same period. Per capita personal income also grew at an average of 4.8% per year for the same period. Moving on to utilities, I wanted to give a breakdown of where your utility dollars go. So for every $100 spent on utilities, you can see here in the chart that approximately 47% of that goes to your electrical, 14% to water, 17% to wastewater, 17% to solid waste, and 5% to sales tax. And here's here's a different breakdown that shows the average summer utility bill versus the average winter utility bill, because we have the seasonal rates. But another, sorry if you can't read this, so I'll talk through it, but another important chart I wanted to show, and we just updated, are the comparative charges. So we're always monitoring other communities and keeping records of comparative charges to see if we're close to what other Alaskan communities are doing. So going through this one, you'll see our population estimate here, about 8,900 is what we have on the board. Full-time city employees averaged at about 148. So you'll see that employees per 1,000 population were at 17 city employees per 1,000 citizens. Taking out Kodiak Island Borough, which is at 3, well actually just taking out the boroughs in general, taking out Ketchikan and Kodiak, the city of Sitka has the lowest employees per 1,000 population. If you look at our property tax, if you look at our mill rate, the only community that has a lower mill rate than the city of Sitka is the Ketchikan Gateway Borough. Our sales tax rate seems to be on par with others. Our additional taxes seem to be on par. Our electrical rates are higher, there's no doubt about it, but when you average the seasonal rates, it's somewhat close to the others. Residential water rate, residential sewer rate, we seem to be right in the middle, and our mortgage is somewhat higher, with Juneau beating us out on the mortgage rate. Some other things that aren't on the chart here I want to talk about is average prices of residential electricity in Alaska in 2018. I just have this in my notes here, but the average cost per kilowatt hour in November to April for Sitka, everybody knows their rate here, and we have the different summer rate, but our average cost to the resident in 2018 was about 19 cents per kilowatt hour. We are a municipal-owned utility, so if you compare us to municipal-owned, primarily hydroelectric in Alaska, the average kilowatt hour rate is about 21 cents per kilowatt hour. If you take utilities in Alaska that are completely, just primary hydroelectric, including all ownership, private ownership, and municipally owned, they pay about 22 to 23% per kilowatt hour. And the average overall for Alaska is around 24 to 25 cents per kilowatt hour. So moving on to boards, commissions, and committees. I mentioned these at the beginning, and I'd just like to say a big thank you to everybody that does serve on our boards, committees, and commissions. The Assembly depends on these bodies to make recommendations on policy changes. And if you watch the Assembly meeting, I think it was the last one, we spent quite a bit of time establishing this new Climate Action Task Force, and they're still in the forming phase right now. We're trying to get their initial kickoff meeting set up, but we're really excited to be working with them and see what they can offer. Current openings right now is the Animal Hearing Board, Building Appeals, Health Needs, Historic Preservation, the Library, Ports and Harbor, and Tree and Landscape. before I open it up to questions, I'd like to end on some fun facts here. So the City and Borough of Sitka was incorporated in 1971, as everybody knows. So this year we will have our big 50th anniversary. Population of Sitka, according to the most recent census, is about 8,500. Our per capita personal income is just over $74,000. One of our big successes this year, in my opinion, was the approximately $14.2 million in CARES funds that we expended. And I tried to put some of the high-level numbers up here, but $3.7 million of CARES funding went out to utility and mortgage assistance. So that was direct assistance to our citizens. Through 2 rounds of business grants and nonprofit grants, we distributed $6 million. Putting all the social support and school district support programs into one, that was approximately $2.8 million. And $1.6 million remained available for city mitigation efforts and public safety response for COVID response. So I'd just like to end by saying that the City and Borough of Sitka has many responsibilities above and beyond what a lot of other municipalities do, including providing all of our own utilities. In the midst of decreasing state funding, COVID response, and a struggling tourism season because of COVID, the City and Borough of Sitka employees are committed to providing quality service to its citizens. So I thank all of you for your participation in local government and supporting the municipality and all of its achievements. And I'd be happy to take some of your questions as soon as I can get this screen shut off.
Okay.
Do you have me back, Rachel?
I have you, yep.
Okay.
Thanks for putting all that information together, John. We would be able to share it on our website if that is an option. Yeah, great. So yeah, if you forward it to us, we'll post it there if anyone's interested in seeing that. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about the COVID Conscious Business Program. I actually really enjoyed working with Amy in the planning department on that. It was a really great partnership in looking at what businesses may need to be looking at and also helping them. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So our COVID Conscious Business Program, I'd like to say that we thought of that ourselves, but that was one of those, we saw another community doing it and said, wow, that's a really great idea. Let's see if we can steal that one from them. And, but we did speak to them about that. I think it was the City of Valdez, and they were absolutely willing to share and help walk us through that. And Amy really took the lead on that one. And the idea was to really put the businesses in the forefront, the ones that are trying to do their best to make a safe place for people to shop and spend their money. So we put an application together, kind of closely following Valdez's application, and with the assistance of the chamber, you guys have been very helpful in getting the word out. And if you complete that application, you can go online and find the application if you're interested in it. And it's some simple questions about hand sanitation stations. Do you have a mask policy? You know, how often do you clean tables and with what? You know, some pretty straightforward questions. But once you complete that, you get that back to the city. We review it, and you will get I won't call it a certification, but you'll get kind of a thumbs up from us that says you're a COVID conscious business, and they get a placard to hang in their window and some recognition on our website that says they completed the program.
Great, thank you. I did see that First National Bank Alaska is on there, Harry Race Pharmacy, Sitka Tribe of Alaska, and Checkered Tours, and so it's great. We actually have our walkthrough scheduled for tomorrow at the chamber, so we want to be one of the COVID conscious businesses. And I think one other piece that's really was important for the chamber is that we provided resources, and so there's actually a toolkit on the site that helps you get a mitigation plan, a template for hand washing, and just to help those small business owners especially to get those things in place so you can communicate with your employees and have a plan for testing and all of that. So thanks for doing that. And we're really forerunners in as far as the state goes. Anchorage has a program, Valdez. Juneau launched about the same time as Sitka, but that's about it. So we're actually going to be looked at as an example, as the Alaska Travel Industry Association is looking to put together plans, and it will be like a pledge that says, here, these are the things that we're planning on doing, and so we'll be working with them to make sure our Sitka businesses are included in that. I have a question from Laurie Boysa. She's our Director of Visit Sitka. If the federal CARES package is passed, do you expect Sitka to get any of that funding? And will you offer community support again, like utilities, mortgage, or other business grants?
That's a very good question, and it's not the first time I've been asked that one. And I wish I had a crystal ball. I really don't know. I know that there's probably going to be another round of some sort of support. I just read something today that talks about some housing support that's going to be available under the Alaska Housing Finance Corporation. But in what I read, it said the municipality of Anchorage will be the only one to receive that funding directly. So again, I don't know all the rules around it yet, but our staff worked very, very hard with that last round of CARES funding, and it was quite the endeavor. I hope this time it will be a little easier, but regardless, we're going to put as much effort as we can into it to make sure that we get the money out to the people who need it and in the appropriate places. And obviously we'll be looking at our assembly a lot for guidance on where they want to direct that funding.
Great, thank you. I know, well, one way that we've been trying to help carry the message forward is through our weekly COVID emails that have been going out on Fridays. And so anytime we get something from you, we're including that. And so definitely look to those emails for updates from us. Carol Frazier from the Aspen Suites Hotel says tourism is a major driver of revenue, jobs, and contributor to the city taxes. Why isn't there a committee on tourism development, or what are the city's plans to continue to promote Sitka as a tourism and meeting destination once COVID is near its end?
I'm going to write some of that down.
Well, and I can actually help with that a little bit.
Yeah, it was a tourism committee, is that what?
A committee on tourism development, yes.
Committee on tourism development.
Well, and I can kind of speak to some of the historics there, is that before the contract for convention and visitor services that the chamber was awarded in 2015, the city had the convention and visitor services committee, or Sitka Convention and Visitor Services they had a committee that was a board appointed by the assembly, and when the contract went to the chamber board serves as part of that capacity, but we created a committee of our board called Convention and Visitor Services Committee, and we hold meetings that are open to the whole community and businesses that help to inform the plans, and then we bring all of those, all of that together with and report back to the assembly through that process. But there has been tourism commissions and different short-term things that have been created over the time. There was a development committee that looked at tourism planning. The branding project was another committee that was formed out of the assembly. So that kind of gives a little bit of history, but so her question is, what are the city's plans to continue to promote Sitka as a tourism and meeting destination once COVID nears its end?
Well, Rachel, I think you answered most of it already. I mean, if you want to answer the rest of my questions,
no way.
You did answer a good portion of it, but right now we continue to partner with the chamber and Visit Sitka, and you guys have been very helpful in getting the word out there and kind of marketing Sitka as a travel destination. Right now, we have regular talks with the cruise ship industry, especially. People want to get back to cruising, and I think I'm speaking for the community when I say we want cruise ships back here. We want them back here safely. We want people traveling safely. So we're planning on a season. I think the season is going to be very scaled back. But we are continuing talks with the cruise ship industry almost weekly. I'm on the phone with one of them and trying to find a way to continue the talks back and forth on what's the feel of our community, and then what can the cruise ships provide, and how can we communicate with each other to make sure this is being done safely while we're still under many of the COVID restrictions.
Great. Yeah, thanks, John. And that I appreciate that you're an active part of those conversations. We heard an update from Rory Watts yesterday, and he including Sitka in those conversations, that you're there, and I know that there's a task force being created to really get down to the brass knuckles around what are the protocols, how do we address them for cruise. And I think for independent travel, I think we're going to have a pretty healthy independent travel season this year. We've heard from all of the lodges and charter operators that they're booked or getting close to being fully booked. That's really encouraging. And I think another really important one is that Alaskans are traveling and traveled last year in 2020, and we want to keep encouraging them to travel. So yes, we'll keep partnering, but we definitely need the city to be a part of that conversation to make sure that we're all on the same page.
Yeah, and I'm on part of that Southeast Alaska. I forgot what we're calling the group now, but I sit on those calls with Rory and others on the team, and we're creating a common Southeast dashboard right now that just kind of shows each community's status and how we can communicate with the cruise industry.
Awesome. So we have another question, or just a comment from one of our members, Lorraine. She says, "Thank you, John, for a very informative report, and thank you for all you do for Sitka." And then Laurie has another question. With the reduction in sales tax and bed tax revenue from 2020, what do you expect how do you expect the new budget to change?
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
we have our budget meeting. What's today? Wednesday. Our meeting is tomorrow, and that's kind of our first look at where we expect to be this next year. And what we did, at least what we offered up going forward, is we just kind of maintained the same level of service, and we wanted to show the assembly kind of what that does to the bottom line. And there might have to be some difficult choices made, or we might have to find some ways to tighten our belt in other places. But right now we're moving forward with the same level of services type approach, with a good look on how we can do things better if we need to.
Great. And I
we're always looking for ways to do things better, but I would say more efficiently, because it's better paid when it's.
Yeah. Well, I think I saw, is it this coming Thursday, that there's a special budget meeting to kind of go over the overall, and I mean, I think it's important to say that you guys are working so much sooner on budget, because it is such a big job on the shoulders of the assembly and the staff.
Yep, that starts tomorrow night at the special budget meeting. We'll be talking about that.
Great. And are those live on will it be like the other ones, the special meeting?
It should be.
Okay.
Should be.
Because we have it, we actually watch the assembly meetings live on my YouTube, on my smart TV, and so my whole house gets to see all of you guys. They all know the latest updates of what's happening at the city, so we'll be tuning in, and also there's a link live on the city's website as well. Melissa Henshaw, thank you, Melissa. She has just information that there was a Sitka Convention and Visitors Bureau from 2006 to 2015, and also a tourism commission from 2010 to 2013. And so the bureau itself was where the bed tax was created was back from 1985, but then they created that board special for the Convention and Visitors Bureau in 2006. So thanks for that information. we have an interesting history, but they people often call us from other communities and say, how are you guys doing chamber and CVB in the same house? And so we're thankful for the work we're able to do for the city and our community. Let's see. Well, I think you've answered all of our questions. I guess one other question is that there are a couple RFPs that are out right now for the city that are looking at development. Can you talk about the ones that are out? I know one out at the Hall Out. That's one. The potential. Or is that one closed? Okay, that one's not quite out yet. Maybe just an update on RFPs.
Meeting I'm going to when I get out of here. Yeah, we're working on trying to find some solutions for a haul out. It's something the community needs. It's something the community wants. We're trying to find a way to do that, and also try to find whether it's going to be a private developer or somebody else running it, or if we try to do it as a public-private partnership or more of a co-op type model. There's lots of options out there, and that's what we'll be talking about at Tuesday's assembly meeting, hopefully. So, but yes, there are some other RFPs out there right now, specifically the one that came from the Granite Creek No Name Mountain Master Plan, that 17-acre parcel. That's an active RFP, and then we're looking for, well, there's lots of options there. We're looking for a sale or lease, and kind of want to see what ideas are available out there.
Great, and I know there's a bid website if you want to view those RFPs for the city. We'll include that in our next newsletter too, because I know folks are interested. Well, any closing comments or anything else to share? Thank you very much for having me, and I'm sorry it's been so long before we got the opportunity to do this. I know you asked me back in October to give some presentation, and I really wanted to, but you remember the cases spiked at that point, and it was the highest levels we've had for COVID cases in Sitka, so our attention was drawn elsewhere, and I was unable to do the presentation then. And I'll apologize again for the clunkiness of having to do this over Zoom. I really don't like just reading presentations to people. It's kind of hard to not be able to hear the feedback or see the faces, but I hope I was able to provide some useful information and answer some questions. So here's to looking forward to doing this in person and getting back to lunch with everybody there and enjoying these sessions. So Thank you for having me. Absolutely, thank you, and thanks for everything you do. We will be back next week, so look for that information. We'll be having our membership annual meeting coming up in February, and that board election as well. And thank you all for being a part of this, and thanks John and Renee and Melissa at the city as well. See you next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. We did it.
Good job.